We're talking SEC football, Southeastern 14. So glad you're joining us. I'm Chase Robinson. We're going to dive into some Arkansas Razorbacks football, look back to the spring and what fans can expect heading into the 2024 season. We'll talk with Jackson Fuller of USA Today Sports. Before we get into that, though, I want to remind you about BetOnline, your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB to golf, NBA, and NHL. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet online, where the game starts. So, Jackson, appreciate you coming on, talking some Razorbacks football after, I'm sure, a busy spring practice, spring game under the belt there for the Arkansas Razorbacks. You head into a new era post KJ Jefferson, Talon Green now at quarterback. That's where I want to start. You had a chance to see him in spring practice, see him in the spring game. Your thoughts on Talon Green as he takes over this role at quarterback?
I think he's about what we expected when he, transferred over from Boise State, where there are a lot of tools there that you really want in a high-level college quarterback. He can throw it far. He's got tremendous athleticism, can make plays with his legs. But there is a little bit of inaccuracy there. We saw that at Boise State with his, completion percentage really hovering around that 50% mark. And he struggled at times this spring. I think he had a really great start and a little bit of a weak close. But the spring game, he was terrific. It really stood out his ability to run the football, even in a non-tackling environment. I mean, when those long legs get going, it's going to be hard to catch up with him. And I think there were some moments in the spring game where he could have run for 50, 40 yards, but, he got two-hand touched and they called him down for 10. I think honestly, I know KJ accomplished a lot for the program and was terrific with Arkansas for a few years. I think a lot of his success, a very talented guy, but Kendall Briles and that scheme and him were a perfect match. With Kendall Briles moving on at Petrino here now, I think Talon Green is probably a better fit for Arkansas at the quarterback position. And I think the offense with Petrino, with the guys that they brought in, is going to be at least the offensive side of the ball will be a huge improvement this year.
Who are some guys, maybe some names to watch who will be around Talon Green, some of these skill guys that have come into the Razorbacks?
I think Jaquindon Jackson is going to be a star for this team. He's a running back that transferred in from Utah. And I mean, strength, speed, power, the ability to kind of make guys miss in the backfield and then get the head of steam rolling it's all there for him. And I think the running back room's a lot less cluttered right now, maybe, than it was a few months ago. We've had two departures in the portal. And I think that kind of sets it up for Jaquindon to kind of be the lead guy. I think Rashad DeBinion's been here for 3 years now. He'll take some carries, but Jaquindon, I think, is clearly the top guy in the backfield. And then really, I think Arkansas fans are most excited for Luke Haas. He's a sophomore tight end that was having such a great season last year before he had a shoulder or collarbone injury and missed the rest of the year after the Texas A&M game. Him being healthy, he's going to be a dynamic weapon as a pass catcher. I think really he could assert himself as the best tight end in the conference this season. I think the ceiling is that high, and he's going to be an NFL draft pick one day. I think Arkansas really, it's time to maximize that guy over the next 2 years that he has left here at Fayetteville.
And I know a lot of Arkansas fans remember the Bobby Petrino era as he was a head coach. He's now back as the offensive coordinator. What do you think? What would you project as the changes being in the offense now that Petrino, who is a great offensive mind, is taking over that side of the ball?
It's going to be a lot more creative, Chase. I think that's the biggest thing you're going to see a lot of different formations, a lot of different ways getting the ball into guys' hands. I think, Dan Enos has had success in his career, but for whatever reason, it didn't work here at Arkansas. And, this job is my first time covering a major Division I college football team. And when fall practice was happening and the offense was struggling, I just was kind of thinking, oh, this is kind of the norm. The defense is out ahead. You don't want to show too much at practice. And then I compare what I saw last fall to what I've seen this spring, where the offense is winning a lot of reps this spring. It's just crazy the difference a coordinator can make. And I just think there's going to be a lot more emphasis on playing fast. There's going to be a lot more emphasis on getting the ball into guys' hands in space and just trying to be a more creative, dynamic, and explosive offense. I think you can't really go much further down with how much the offense struggled last year. So I think Arkansas fans are going to enjoy watching the guys on offense this year.
I know Sam Pittman's specialty is the guys up front. What's the offensive line looking like this year? What'd you learn about those guys in spring?
Yeah, big year for Sam, especially at that position group, because like you said, that's what he's known for. But they were really, really bad last year on the offensive line. I mean, I think Enos shouldered most of the blame for last year's offense, but that offensive line is probably a 1B or 1A, right there. They brought in 3 transfers, and all of those guys started from the beginning of spring to the end of spring. They've talked about trying to be a more cohesive, better chemistry group. And I think that's all going to be true. I think the starting 5 is a huge improvement from last year. The depth, though, concerns me. If one of those transfers gets hurt, what happens with, the backups? They did just bring in an offensive lineman, Joe Moore, transfer portal guy from, I think, Syracuse and Richmond. And he's got a lot of starts under his belt. So getting, that undisputed 6th guy, I think, is huge, that he can kind of come in and spell some guys. But the depth is going to be a question mark there. If those 5 starters can stay healthy, I think Arkansas will have a solid offensive line in the SEC. But if one of those guys gets hurt, or even 2, the questions start really getting ramped up. And I think that's kind of, if you talk to an Arkansas fan, their biggest concern right now is the offensive line and then the interior of the defensive line, both as far as depth goes, because the starters are good, but once you get past that, there's some question marks.
Yeah, I want to flip over to the defensive side of the ball now. Again, just as you watch this team in practice in the spring game, what stands out to you about the Razorbacks defense that they have here in 2024?
Man, it's what stands out is it's weird to think that this defense was pretty good last year until the wheels kind of fell off at the end of the year. But they lost like 5-6 straight games, and the defense was not really at fault for some losses to Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M, stuff like that. So you expected the defense to be pretty good this year. I think they've got a lot of inexperience at linebacker, and I think that's a big concern. They've got some foundational pieces. Landon Jackson is a defensive end who came back. He could have been a draft pick. I think he wants to maybe elevate himself to a 1st or 2nd round pick. Cameron Ball, defensive tackle, and then Jalen Braxton, the cornerback. I mean, those 3 guys are going to be 3 of the top defensive players in the SEC this year. Around them, though, it's a lot of inexperience, a lot of guys that have maybe had up and down careers. I think this is going to be a big test for defensive coordinator Travis Williams. He was pretty good last year. But now there's some added expectations based off of his performance last year, and it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of manages some new faces and some older guys that haven't had outstanding careers but have flashed in moments. If he can maybe pull out their best moments now in their senior, junior seasons, got a chance to be a good defense. I think there's definitely more depth on that side of the ball. It's just a matter of finding those right guys who are going to be the 11 starters.
As we're recording this on May the 2nd, the transfer portal window has closed, but are there any guys you could maybe say, they may be committing to Arkansas? Is Arkansas targeting any positions? Hey, we got to get guys in these positions that you know of?
I really think that there's only one position left that they're seriously hunting. If the right guy comes along and has interest, I think they've still got a few scholarship spots open. They'll take someone, but the defensive tackle is by far the biggest position of need right now. Their top 2, I mentioned Cam Ball, and then they've got Eric Gregory. Those are 2 solid starters. But the guys behind them, don't have really any experience at all. Well, I take that back. Keavy Rose is a senior who transferred in last year. So those 3, but other than that, there's really nobody that they trust. I think they've got to go into the portal and get another defensive tackle before the portal kind of runs dry. I think they did a great job addressing a need at linebacker because they had some talent, some high level recruits there, but no experience. They went out and they got 2 guys a Steven Dix Jr. from Marshall, and then Larry Worth from Jacksonville State. I think, are those guys going to be starters? I don't know, but they're going to play a lot of snaps just because they bring experience to the room.
I'm also curious, just the vibe around the program right now, as far as the fans go. Just you're there, you're around it in Fayetteville. Just the Arkansas fan base. Just in your opinion, what's the vibe around Arkansas football right now? Because obviously it hasn't performed up to standards the last couple of years. What are people feeling?
It's a tough question because I think the vibe is a little different inside the program and then the fans that surround the program. I think the fans are, they're a little desperate for a winner. And I think they're a little skeptical that Sam Pittman's the guy to move this program forward. I think a lot of fans were surprised that Pittman got another year this coming year, coming off last year's struggles. I think the fans are hungry and desperate and skeptical. And, they're going to be watching kind of, a little quizzically of like, is this really, what we want moving forward in the program? With that said, I think there's some juice inside the football, facility here at Arkansas. I think there is some optimism. Are they going to win 8 games? Probably not. I think if they won 8 games, that'd be a huge success. Especially that'd be double their win total. And I think the coaches kind of know that that might be the ceiling for this team. But last year was just so demoralizing with the high expectations and not living up to them, and having KJ and Rocket and kind of failing in their final run here at Arkansas. I think everyone's excited for this fresh start. I think the coaches are really happy to be working with Bobby Petrino. I mean, he demands respect across the college football universe, but especially here in Northwest Arkansas, there's just an aura about him. So I think the program's excited, and I really think they believe inside the program that if they had a decent offense last year, it would have been a 6-7 win team, no questions. And when I say decent, I mean like average, just average offense. They were so far below that mark. It really kind of ruined the season. And I think they are expecting that they can get back to that average mark and kind of turn things around over there.
We will see. The season just around the corner for 2024. He is Jackson Fuller with USA Today Sports, covering the Arkansas Razorbacks. Jackson, really appreciate you taking some time with us today, talking some Razorbacks football, and look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thanks for having me, Chase.
That is Arkansas Razorback football. Get ready for 2024. We'll have more coverage of SEC football here on the Southeastern 14 YouTube channel.